most valuable skill you can learn is to become a dynamic, powerful, and exciting sales person. Is it the NAR rulings that's wrong? Or is it the buyer's agent's mindset and attitude towards the ruling the problem? Want you to think about that. Now, why am I bringing this topic up? Before I dig into the topic and share with you my thoughts on why I personally believe that the NAR rulings is not a big deal, but it's an opportunity for those that know how to look at it from the right mindset and the right attitude. Welcome to Mindset and Attitude to Selling. Before I share the topic with you, I want to share a little story with you. I train real estate agents, and I'm actually in the process of taking my license. Okay? And one of my clients has been in real estate for 35 years. She's been involved in over 1,800 successful real estate transactions at every level, every type of real estate deal. And she's very, very successful. And she hired me 2 years ago to train not only her, but to train her agents so that they can become better real estate agents. And so the topic I'm going to share with you comes from the conversation or the sales training I did with her yesterday. It was about an hour and 30 minutes. We went over some things. She gave me some issues that came up, and I explained to her how I would handle it if I was her and how I would have the agents handle it. Okay? Now, the other part is this. I am part of about 5 or 6 real estate groups on Facebook that I chat with people, with real estate agents. And I also read a lot of comments and a lot of issues that agents have because of the NAR rulings. And it just blows my mind how negative people really are and how they're not taking responsibility for their own actions and why they're not succeeding and things like that. Okay? Now, here's how I see it. NAR rulings, to me, is a great thing. Why do I say it's a great thing? Because what it did and what it does, in my opinion, it basically exposes the buyer's agent's weakness or weaknesses. And what do I mean by that? Again, I'm making the statement based on speaking with over 1,500 agents nationwide over the last close to 2 years, speaking with a lot of for sale by owners nationwide over the same period of time. So I'm sharing this with you based upon data that I gathered and speaking with people. So why I say that the NAR rulings have exposed buyers agents' weaknesses, I say that because of this. Because a lot of agents or the buyer's agents now are complaining about them being cut out of the commission from the seller's agent's part. And I think that's a weak excuse. That's just my personal view. So now what happens is now buyer's agent has to do the work that the seller agent does, right? Negotiate, get a contract, and get a commission, right? So now they have to do that. They're not used to that. They were used to getting the path of least resistance, meaning they didn't have to worry about it because the seller's agent was going to pay them a commission. The buyers weren't concerned because they had no skin in the game. They knew and know they didn't have to pay their agent a commission. So that was a no-brainer, right? Now that doesn't mean that the buyer's agent didn't work hard, didn't do a lot of work to earn the relationship. I'm just saying from a practicality point of view, when the rubber meets the road, are you going to get paid your value and are you going to earn that? Does that make sense? So, when I read the comments in these groups, It's almost like they want sympathy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off to you some of the comments and some of the postings that agents have put on these platforms, and why I believe, and I'm going to address those questions, how I see it, and how I teach the agents that are my client how they should deal with it. And when I become an agent, that's how I'm going to deal with it. Because again, it's really about your mindset, how you think, what you think about the NAR rulings. Whether you agree with the outcome of the rulings or not, to me, it's irrelevant. I look at it, okay, that's the decision, that's the rule. How do I turn that into a value that it could help the buyer or the seller? And how do I use that value to convey the value to both the buyer and or the seller, whichever part you're involved in, right? That's how I see it. I always look at these types of rulings as opportunities to not only increase my value, but helping me make sharper, more effective decisions with either the buyer or the seller. That's just the way I look at it. Now, just for the record, I do cold call for sale by owners, and I do get leads for sale by owners. They're very easy to get. Buyers are no different. So even though I'm not an agent, I help a lot of my clients that are agents get listings and buyers. And when I become an agent, I'm already in the process. So it's not going to be a hard adjustment for me. It's all about two things: knowing how to sell and close, and telling powerful, engaging, effective stories. It's that simple. Does that make sense? So if you like this video, do me a favor, share your comments below. If you want to have access to more videos on mindset and attitude of selling, just click the link below. It'll link you to my YouTube channel. Subscribe, watch some of the videos, and just give me a feedback. Now, I'm going to convey this topic or record this topic is this. I'm going to read to you guys some of the comments and some of the postings on some of the real estate groups that I'm part of, and what the agents are posting. And then I'm going to tell you what my rebuttal is to that posting, or what my mindset is towards their comments. Because here's what you need to learn as a buyer's agent. And please don't take this the wrong way. You have to be objective now and not subjective to your emotions. If your weaknesses have been exposed, you have two options. You either quit, you're either going to get fired, or you do something about it, period. And there's some statistics I'll read off to you. There's like 74% of realtors last year didn't have any transactions, right? That's insane. That's crazy, right? So understand this before I get into the comments. As a buyer's agent, what I recommend you do is you learn to become a dynamic salesperson, because that's what you're going to need. That's what you're going to need to learn. That skill you need to learn so that you're able to get brokerage agreements and your own commissions. For me personally, I don't leave it up to anyone. I go out there and I earn my commission. And what I train my real estate agent clients is always increase your value. Become a better salesperson. Being an agent is a different mindset than it is to being a salesperson. The salesperson is what's going to make you the money. The salesperson is what's going to get you the contract. The salesperson is what's going to be able to tell the story. The salesperson is the one that's going to be able to close more deals. The agent is the facilitator once you have the contract. Just food for thought. Keep that in mind, because at the end of the day, it's all about solving sales problems, right? Okay, so now, buyer's agent, or these are some of the comments or some of the posting in a couple of real estate groups I'm involved in. Okay, now let me read one to you. Let me start over here. Let me see. Okay, let's see here. Well, bear with me. Okay, here's a posting and a statement from an agent. Thanks to NAR, buyers agents are having a hard time getting paid. Then they have a little mojo with a crying on it. And it says, I need listings. Now, when I hear that and I read that, there's two thoughts of mine for me. Number one is they're trying to troll people just to get comments and shares and likes. And, you know, that could be one of the things, because that's what a lot of people do. To me, it's a waste of time, because at the end of the day, there's no value on that. It makes no sense to comment on that. So, but if it is a true statement and they really are sincere about it, then here's my response to that post. Thanks to NAR, buyers agents are having a hard time getting paid. I need listings. Okay. The question is, why are buyers agents having a hard time getting paid? Now, speaking to you, who's watching this video, who's a buyer's agent or has done more buyer's agent than seller's agent. Okay. Why is that a problem? Why aren't you getting paid? I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. Whether you get offended or not, that's on you. I always want to know what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. Always. No matter if it hurts, I could deal with it. The reason why buyers agents are not getting paid is because they don't know how to sell. And you cannot sell what you don't know. Second reason is they don't understand the value they have or don't have. The third thing is they got spoiled, and you got spoiled getting paid from the seller's agent, because they did the hard work, which is getting the listing and getting and negotiating a commission for you, the buyer's agent. I never liked that. When my client first hired me, I told her that makes no sense to me. As I started speaking with more agents and training more agents and learning, I realized why that was the case. So those are the three reasons why buyers agents are not getting paid. Now, does that mean the seller's agent shouldn't pay the buyer's agent? It's on a case-by-case basis. That's how I teach my clients that are agents. And when I become an agent, I'm going to do both sides. Majority of my deals will be both sides. Now, not every agency allows that, but I've been doing that all my life, and that's what I'm going to do. But in the case that I don't get the buyer's agent, I get the listing, then depending on what the buyer brings to the table and how he handles that, I'm going to determine if I pay him or not, or her or not. It's that simple. Because when you can get your own buyers, right, consistently, you're not at the mercy of the seller. You're not at the mercy of anybody. And that's the reason why, my opinion, you buyers agents are not getting paid. So it's up to you to do something about it. That's just my personal view, my opinion, based on my understanding in selling. Does that make sense? So hopefully that answers your question. All right, let's go to the next one. Give me 1 second. Can't see without my glasses. Okay, so the next one is, here's one. 74% of realtors did not sell a home in 2024. The failure rate is so high in this business because, and they leave a question mark. So I'm going to repeat that. 74% of realtors did not sell a home in 2024. The failure rate is so high in this business because. My opinion, my experience. From the seller's agent's perspective, why they didn't sell a home is because I believe they settled just to get a listing. They didn't have no incentive to really sell it. Maybe they got paid a low commission that they were frustrated about it. And I'm sharing this with you based upon the agents I speak with over the few years, okay? The other reason is it comes down to this. You don't know how to sell. What I mean by that is it's not about just getting a listing. To me, it's always about the exit strategy, meaning getting the buyer. So what happens is a lot of sellers agents, they get this listing, they're excited because they work really hard to get the listing, and they're hoping and praying and wishing that a buyer agent calls them to go look at the house and wanting to buy the house. That's what I believe. So listing is one thing, selling the home is another. And the other reason is they probably didn't market it the right way. So what I teach and how I show the agents that I train is always try to have both sides of the fence. Always try to have the buyer exit strategy before you enter the seller. What do I mean by that? If you're good at both sides and you know how to get a contract from a seller, then me personally, I encourage the agent, try to get the buyers first. Because a lot of buyers agents are falling out. So there's more opportunities for you to shine as a buyer's agent. So negotiate a contract with the buyer, find out what the buyer is looking for, and get them committed. Now you have an idea what houses you can target. And then when you find the houses you can target, then you negotiate a deal with the seller. Does that make sense? So the same problems that the buyer's agents are having, believe it or not, the seller's agents are having the same problem. Because now they have all this inventory, but they don't have no buyer's agents bringing in buyers. So now they have to go out there and learn to get buyers, right? Does that make sense? So that's the reason why I believe 74% of realtors didn't sell a home or weren't involved in any transaction. And also because of interest rates, the economy, those are factors as well. But at the end of the day, it's because they don't know how to sell, they don't know how to sell value, and they're just listing a property to get a listing. Ooh, I got a listing. I don't care about that. Do you have an exit strategy? Do you know how to get the buyer to buy the listing that you have when you first got it? Or are you just going to wait for buyer's agents to try to get your buyer? Not for me. I don't wait. I go out and get it. Does that make sense? All right, let's go to another one. Let me see here. Okay, here's an interesting one. I just had a listing appointment from a Deluxer lead, and the owner said, I'm still interviewing other agents. How do you respond? That's an interesting one. If I ever run into that, or any of my clients run into that, here's how I would address that. If you are talking to a seller and you're trying to get a listing, you have to sell your value. You have to show them value. You have to let them see you not as an agent, but as a problem solver, solving sales problem. You have to get the seller to buy into the relationship. That even if you charge the highest commission over the other agents that's charged less, they want to know that they have a professional person that specializes in this area, in these properties, and has a strong selling strategy and marketing strategy and exit strategy, so that even if they're talking with other agents, you're the only one they want to do business with. So if they're interviewing other agents, that means you haven't sold them. That means they haven't bought into you. And the fact that they told you that, they're basically telling you go away without telling you go away. So when you first speak with a seller or for sale by owner, you better give it everything you have. You better be a powerful, effective, exciting, engaging salesperson. You have to get them to be involved in the relationship. Why? Because you have one shot at earning their relationship, and you got to make sure that they understand that they only have one opportunity to be part of your strategy that can sell their home over other agents. The question is, can you do that? Do you have the skill? Do you have the value to do that? More importantly, do you have the confidence and the conviction that you can do that? Because it's not what you tell the seller, it's how you tell the seller. Does that make sense? Hope that was helpful. All right, let's go to another one. Let me see. Okay, here's another interesting one. I want to make $200,000 as a realtor. How can I do that without cold calling or open houses? To me, that's a cop-out, because you're already using an excuse why you're not doing $200,000 a year. And here's how I approach it with my agents that I train, or the clients that are my agent. And this is how I'm going to do it when I become an agent, when I get my license. Okay? Now, there's two ways you can go about it. Number one is, it's not about the numbers. See, people get caught up into how many listings they have versus the quality of the listings you have. And here's what I mean. I'm going to share an analogy with you. I don't know how many of you own stocks or bonds or mutual funds. So let me give you an analogy. If you have a mutual fund, it's basically a basket of stocks in a portfolio, right? They're not all doing well, but you look at what the average is at the end of the year, what your net average is as far as profits, right? Or the increase in value of the portfolio, right? Some stocks may do well, some may not. The ones that don't do well, you get rid of and you buy some other good ones, right? Well, in this case, if you want to make $200,000 a year, that's almost $15,000 a month, maybe $20,000, right? To about $12,000 to $15,000 a month. So the question is, would you rather have 20 properties that you sold at $200,000 or $100,000, right? So if you got 20, or let's say 30 sales in 1 year, right? Let's say at $100,000, $200,000 minus commission, you're not gonna make that, right? Because if you were at 200,000, and let's say you're at 6%, right? Does that make sense? So you got to do the numbers, but you got to look at the right numbers. Or would you rather get less properties at a higher listing price that you make more money? What do I mean by that? If you got 20 deals, right, that means you have to deal with 20 different people. And a lot of things can go wrong when there's a smaller price home, because you got a different type of clientele. And here's what I mean by that. What is the difference between trying to list and sell a $100,000 home versus $1 million home? What's the difference? Are you going to do any different work? No, probably not. You're going to deal with a different clientele. The ones at the $1 million are easier to deal with because they know how to make decisions, and you don't have to babysit them a lot, right? And it's just a zero. So whether you're trying to sell a $100,000 home or $1 million, it's no different. It's all about your mindset. But I'd rather have, one listing a month at $2 million price, right? And if I sell $2 million home a month, right? That's $24 million in gross sales, right? So 2.4. Let's say you're at 6%. What's 2.4 million? Let me grab my calculator here. Bear with me, guys. Okay, so you got 2.4 million times 6%. Okay, so that's $144,000, right? Now, you may say, well, that's not a lot of money, right? Well, you have to look at it this way. You have to look at the quality of the property you're selling, which is actually going to increase your value as a real estate agent. How? Because when people see that you deal with high-end property, you're going to be looked after, or you're going to get people wanting to work with you to sell their high-end homes, right? So you start to build a brand, you start to build your value. Now, let's say you're able to get both sides on those deals. Let's say you get 6 from the seller and 3 from the buyer. Let's just say, right? So let's see here. So if you got, bear with me. So if you got 2.4 million times 3%, so you got an extra $72,000 plus 144. Let me see it. So you go 144 at 6%, right? Plus 72,000. So you have about 216,000. Now, it sounds simple, and for experienced people it is, like myself, but what you got to look at is you got to look at the right numbers. And that's something that you have to sit down and think about it, because you're going to put the same energy, the same work. And also what you have to do is you have to understand your selling process. You have to understand, how to handle objections. You have to understand how to tell a story. You have to understand, what your skill is, how valuable your skill is. There's a lot to it, but making $200,000 a month is doable. Now, is cold calling not an avenue that you should not do? I think cold calling is one of the best vehicles to use, in my opinion. I do it every day. Every day. And I will never stop. Now, showing homes is a different thing. I have a strategy on how to show homes. That's how I help my agents, how to pull market and get 3 or 4 buyers in on the home to look at the home at the same time, where you actually influence them to start bidding more. And that's how you could sell it quicker. But anyway, that addresses that question. I hope that was helpful. Let's see here. Let's look at another one. So here's something. Well, let me go to the. Okay, here's an interesting question, a posting they did. It's tax season. How can I be like DJT, Donald J. Trump, and not pay any taxes? What are some good write-offs for realtors? That's right up my alley. And I'll answer that with this. What most agents forget, and again, I'm saying this based on speaking with many agents over the past 2 years. I lost count. And it blows my mind that the simple things they don't even think about, like selling, or learning to sell, or learning how to tell a story. But you have to understand, when you are a realtor and you are a 1099 with a company, you are in essence a business owner. So you have to treat your real estate career as an agent as a business. And if you treat it like a business, you're going to operate it like a business, which means you're going to have a different mindset, a different way of thinking. You're going to take a lot more of what you do much more serious. You're going to do the things that are going to increase your value for your business. And you are the business, right? And the business is contracting your services to help the business grow. So if you're going to go meet with a buyer and you have to drive, well, you could speak to your CPA, but the gas is deductible. Keep the receipt. If you take them out to lunch, that's a business expense. On the way there and on the way back. When you make phone calls, your phone is an expense. Right? And I realized that a lot of agents, especially those that are trying to get listings, the sellers agent, they spend a lot of money and time, promoting it, paying for ads to promote the property, marketing it. They spend all that. Sometimes they pay for the staging. They don't realize that that's a business expense. Also, it comes down to how you incorporate who you are. Whether you're a sole proprietor, LLC, or corporation, or ESCO. So it all depends. But at the end, you have tax deductions. So if it costs you money to go meet with buyers or potential buyers, and it costs you money out of pocket to promote the seller's property and meet buyers to go look at the properties and do the dog and pony show, or if you have to stage it, or if you have to pay for marketing, that's coming out of your pocket, right? So if you have a listing and the listing expires and the seller doesn't renew it, you're out of pocket money, real money, right? How about getting some money up front from the seller when you're getting the listing? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about having the seller pay for the marketing costs and the staging if you have to come out of pocket? Why not? So operate your career as an agent, as a business. Everything you do within that time that you're doing your business, you have tax deduction. If you have to pay for desk or office space with your broker, that's a deduction. Have them give you an invoice. You pay it, and now you can write it off. That's just to keep it simple. I'm not a CPA. I deal with CPAs. I understand this. This is what I do. So that's how I would address that. Let's see if I have any more. I hope this is helpful, guys. If you liked the video so far and it's been helpful and you've gained some knowledge, do me a favor. Share your comments below. Let me know if you agree or you disagree, or if you have your own comment on these postings and these statements. Share it below. Let me know. And if you want to know more about mindset and attitude to selling, just hit the link below. It'll lead you to my YouTube channel. And subscribe is for free. Watch some of the videos and then give me some feedback on that. Hold on a second. See what else we got here. All right. Okay. It says here, it's a little different than the other one. It says 69% of realtors did not sell a home last year. Why do so many agents fail? Why do so many agents fail? Why do you fail? If you gave it everything you have, and you try everything and you still didn't succeed, it wasn't the effort. I'm going to address it this way. The right preparation and the right training leads to the right results and the right production. Because the way you train is the way you're going to perform. So if your training is weak, your performance is going to be worse. But here's the other thing. If you're not being trained properly as an agent, then your back's against the wall. You know, they leading you the wrong way, in my opinion. The other reason why 69% of realtors didn't sell a home is because they were just more focused on the listing of it, not the actual selling of the home. They were hoping and praying that the home would sell. But the main issue to me, the real basic bottom line fundamental is you don't know how to sell. These 69% of realtors do not know how to sell. They don't understand that they're not an agent until they have a contract. So you have to learn the art of selling. You have to learn that skill, because that is the most powerful skill you can learn, is learning how to sell. And there's a lot of elements that go to selling. But in my opinion, that's why 69% of realtors did not sell a home last year. That's one of the issues. Obviously, there's other things, interest rates, the politics. There's a lot of indicators, leading indicators, lagging indicators. But regardless of those indicators, regardless of the market and the interest rates and the economy, top salespeople always find a way to be more valuable and produce more sales when shit is hitting the fan and the economy looks bad and the interest rates look horrible, because they know how to take that information and that environment and do what? Turn it into an opportunity. Because whether the market's up or down, or industries are up or down, or the economy's up or down, there's three professions that are always needed: an attorney, a CPA, and a top salesperson, right? So that's what I believe why 69% of realtors did not sell a home last year. Does that make sense? Hope that was helpful. Let's see if I have one more before we end this video. So you guys enjoying it? Hope you're enjoying it. Hope it's been helpful. Again, share your comments below, smash the like button, and share this video with others if you think it'll help others. Let's see here. Okay, here's one that really, really bites me, because I think it's a cop-out, and I think it shows the mentality, how weak the mentality is of buyers, agents who think this way and put these kind of postings. Okay, let me read it to you. It says here, I can't read without my glasses, so bear with me, guys. All right. It says here, it should be illegal for listing agents to take 3.5% while the buyer agent gets 2.5%. Then he follows up with the question, why is this happening? Go back to my earlier statement. That's a cop-out for buyer's agent. Their weaknesses, your weaknesses, you're watching this video and you're buyer's agent. The truth is you're weak. The truth is you don't know how to sell. The truth is your weaknesses have been exposed, and that crutch and that path of least resistance has been taken away from you. Now you have to earn your commission. Now you have to earn your contract. Now you have to do what the seller agent does. Now again, that's on a case-by-case basis. If the agent doesn't want to pay the buyer's agent, right, that's on them. Now, the only reason why they wouldn't want to pay the agent, the buyer's agent, is because they don't believe they could get the buyer on their own, right? So if I'm a buyer agent and I know how to close and sell, I'll get more commission from the seller side than the seller's agent. That's right. Because I know how to close. I know how to sell. I know my value. And I can walk away from it. Right? So at the end, it's not wrong. It's on a case-by-case basis. For me personally, I teach the agents that hire me to learn to do both sides. And if their agency allows them to do both sides, they're going to be at advantage over a lot of people. I know I'm going to do that because the agency I'm going to be with is going to allow me to do that. Why? Because I've been doing it all my life. It's what I do every day. So that's the answer to that question. You know, it should be illegal for a listing agent to take 3.5 while the buyer agent gets 2.5. Why is it illegal? Not breaking any law. You're just weak because you can't close, because you can't get your own commission. And you're depending on somebody else to pay your commission. And if they don't want to pay your commission, then bring your buyer somewhere else. Walk away from it. Or get your own commission from the buyer. If you have the buyer's interest and you know they should buy that property, then negotiate with your buyer. Period. End of story. No excuses. That makes sense? All right, let's see. Let me see if I have one more here. There's just a few. This is a similar posting, but they add a few more things. I just want to give you my input on it. It says realtors that take 3.5. The first one was a question. This is almost similar, but it's actually a statement. Realtors that take 3.5% while the other party takes 2.5% should lose their license. And then this person follows up with, this is unethical and against NAR code of conduct. Why is that? Why is that unethical? Why? It's a half a point. To me, that's a weak mentality. They want to blame somebody else for their inadequacies, for them being weak as salespeople. Blaming something or somebody else. That's a pity me party type of mentality. That's weak. I don't train my agents like that. Or the agents that hire me to train them. I don't train them like that. I won't accept that. And when I become an agent, because I'm better than most agents that I train. Not to brag or be braggadocious, I'm just good at what I do. I know how to do it. So my client persuaded me to become an agent, and I'm going to take my test soon. So to me, this is a weak mentality and saying this is unethical and against NAR code of conduct. I don't know about that. I haven't checked into it, so I can't comment on it. But why is it unethical? You get what your value is. If you're valuable, you know how to get what you want, right? That's just my personal opinion. Share your comment. Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see if we got one more. No, I guess that's pretty much it. So I hope that was helpful. Let me just share some ending thoughts with you. I want you to keep this in mind. And this could go for sellers, agents as well. If you're not getting enough listings or your listings are not closing, then you need to make some changes. So what I would do, I would encourage you to do this. Examine your mindset. What I mean by that is be objective and be critical of yourself. Examine the things that you're doing right and the things that you're doing wrong. And I'll share an example with you, an analogy. If you have a car, right? Typically every 3,000 to 6,000 miles or every 6 months, whichever one comes first, you should give your car a tune-up, right? And then every year you're supposed to give your car a full tune-up. I mean, an oil change, and then the other one's a full tune-up, right? So what happens if you get a red light on the dashboard letting you know that there's something wrong, but let's say you intend to ignore it? What happens if you do? You may have a really big appointment, a $2 million listing or a $2 million buyer, right? And you're all excited and they're ready to sign a contract with you, and boom, your car breaks down. Now you got to call AAA. Now your car's broken down. Now it's going to cost you more money. And you might lose that listing or you might lose that buyer that may go somewhere else, right? All because you ignored the red light. because you didn't examine your vehicle. So what you have to examine is your mindset, what you're thinking about, how you're thinking about it. And if you change the way you think, you're going to change the way you speak and the way you take action. And so here are 3 or 4 things I encourage you to really examine. Number 1 is examine your mindset, how you think about what you do. Change it. What else should you examine? Examine your selling process. How do you get buyers? How do you get sellers? What is your process? What do you need to change? How do you get more qualified buyers and qualified sellers to give you a listing and give you contracts as a buyer? Change your selling process. That includes the way you train, the way you prepare. What else should you do? What else should you examine? You have to examine objections. Wow, sounds strange, right? If you're a buyer's agent right now because of the NAR ruling, the 2 main objections is what? I don't want to sign a contract, and why should I pay you a commission? Those typically the only 2. Or shouldn't you know how to diffuse those objections where you can get the contract and the commission? So how do you handle objections? Also from the seller side, seller's agent. How do you handle, I don't need or want an agent? Do you have a strong rebuttal to overcome and handle that objection, to diffuse it where you could get more listings? Bring me a buyer, pay you a commission. Do you have a rebuttal for that diffuses that? So you got to examine how you deal with sellers and buyers with their objections. What else should you examine? Your story. Your story involves 2 parts. You have to tell your story on why should this buyer or this seller hire you as an agent. What makes you different than the other agents they've spoken with or will speak with after they speak with you? Why? What is your story? How valuable is your story to them? They need to have confidence and know that you can do the job. They have to know that if you're asking for 6% commission, that you're worthy of it. They have to feel that. Are you doing that? So you have to examine your story and how you're telling that story. What else should you examine? What is your skill? How valuable is your skill? Are you an agent? Or are you a salesperson? Or are you both? When do you wear which hat? You got to examine those things, man. And then the last one, to make those changes as a seller's agent and as a buyer's agent, you really need a script, which is a vehicle to lead you to the right path to getting more listings and more buyer's contracts. Does that make sense? These are things you need to examine right away. Don't procrastinate. And here's the final note. When people ask me, Paul, what is it that you do? I never give titles. Like when I interview agents that want to hire me, I interview them before I even want to take them up. I ask them, what is it that you do? And don't tell me you're a real estate agent. I don't want to hear that. Tell me what it is that you do. They can't answer it. But I know their defense mechanism is to ask me that question. I do that on purpose. So when they ask me what I do, I answer it in 5 words or less. And not one person ever has a doubt what I do. Forget about titles. That's irrelevant to me. Here's my response and here's my answer to every time I get that question on. I solve sales problems. I added another word, period. That's what I do. No matter what the industry, no matter if you're a seller or a buyer, I solve sales problems, period. Can you say that? Do you believe that? Do you believe you can do that? Do you have the confidence, the discipline, the commitment, and the conviction to say that and mean it and do it? If you can't say that, you would already be doing it. But that's the mindset you have to develop. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I thank you for sharing your time with me. Again, if you found some value in this video, do me a favor, smash the like button. I do want some comments. Let me know what you thought. If you want access to more mindset and attitude to selling videos that can help you increase your value, do me a favor, click the link below. It leads you to my YouTube channel. Just subscribe. It's for free. Support the channel. Give me some feedback. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, smash that like button and hit the subscription button below. I thank you for your time. And remember this, guys. Learn the art of storytelling. Learn to become a dynamic, powerful, exciting, and engaging salesperson. And if you can do that, watch your value increase. Watch your listings grow. And then watch your commissions absolutely explode. Talk to you later.